On a Sunday afternoon, a disturbing event sent shockwaves through Kenya's political landscape. JUJU Member of Parliament George KOIMBURI was attending a church service in Kiambu County, seeking, like many others, a moment of peace. But what happened outside the church has raised serious questions about security, democracy, and whether powerful forces are working behind the scenes to silence him. According to eyewitnesses and his family, KOIMBURI was abducted right outside the church by two men pretending to be worshippers. They approached him calmly, then suddenly, violently dragged him away. No official security vehicle, no warrant, no explanation, just a forced disappearance in broad daylight. From that moment, KOIMBURI vanished. His family raised the alarm immediately. They searched through the night, called hospitals, visited the police stations, pleaded with public information, but there was nothing. No word from the authorities, and no claim of responsibility. That night, the silence was deafening. It wasn't until the next morning that the public finally received news of George KOIMBURI and where he had been found. He was dumped in a coffee plantation in Kobe Kioi area in Kiambu County, disoriented, bruised, and clearly beaten. He was then rushed to Karen Hospital for emergency treatment. Witnesses say he was in pain, barely able to speak. His wife has confirmed that he had been attacked and beaten by his abductors, and yet even in that state, no clear answers have come from the government. The police has quickly released a statement denying any involvement in the abduction and announcing a full investigations. But here is the question on everyone's mind. If not the police, then who? If not the government, then which other group has the power, the confidence, and the coordination to pull off such a political abduction in broad daylight? Let's be clear. George KOIMBURI is not just an MP. He has been openly critical of the current administration. He has spoken about corruption, failures in governance, and injustices. He has also known to politically align himself with Deputy President and current DCP party opposition leader, preparing for the potential showdown in 2027 elections. Just days before his abduction, KOIMBURI had publicly stated that his life was in danger. He feared that he was being followed. He said painfully that powerful individuals were trying to silence him. And now, after being kidnapped, beaten and dumped, those words feel less of paranoia and more of a prophecy. This raises a deep, troubling possibility. Was KOIMBURI targeted by politics? Was he targeted because of his political stance? Was this an abduction meant to intimidate, warn, or even remove him from the national conversation? Because if yes, then this isn't just about KOIMBURI. It is about all of us. This would mean that we are entering a period where political disagreement is meant not with debate, but rather with violence, where the opposing regime does not bring policy argument, but a beating in a dark room, where the Constitution is quoted in speeches, but rather ignored. Now let's talk about what this means for Kenya. We are a democracy. Our constitution, the same one that passed in 2010 with overwhelming support, guarantees freedom of speech, freedom of association, and security of a person. You don't have to like George KOIMBURI's politics. You don't have to support his party, and you must not support his right, but you must support his right to speak, his right to live, and his right to serve as an elected leader without fear of being kidnapped. If a sitting member of parliament can be kidnapped, beaten, what message does this send to ordinary Kenyans? That you are not safe. You are only safe if you are silent, and the power belongs to those that agree. Democracy ends the moment you speak the uncomfortable truth. Let's all remember, this isn't happening in isolation. It's happening at the time of when tension is rising, when opposition movements are gaining ground, and when dissent is growing louder, and when powerful individuals are trying to hold onto control at any cost. This is the perfect climate for political intimidation, and Koimburi's abduction may be just the beginning. So where do we go from now? First, we demand the answers, non-statements, non-denials, real answers. Who took Koimburi? What was their motive? And were they acting alone? Under whose orders? Who funded all these operations? Secondly, we must refuse to normalize this. Kenyans, we must not allow intimidation to become the new normal in our country, similar to countries that are neighboring us. The next beating, the next death is coming. Third, we must protect our right to opposition. Democracy cannot survive without opposition. Whether you support the government or the opposition, you must defend the right to criticize and the right to challenge. And finally, to those in power, we understand this clearly. Power is temporary. You cannot control the system. You cannot suppress voices, and you cannot steal elections. But the time moves forward. Regimes fall, the truth arises, and history never forgets. To Koimburi, George of Kiambu County, we stand with you. And to every Kenyan watching this video, we urge you to stay alert, stay informed, and never to let fear silence your voice. Because this country belongs to us, not just to only the powerful, the wealthy, those that were given things they do not deserve, but to those with a right to be a Kenyan, not just with the state security. And if we want a future worth living, we must defend our democracy now, because it will be too late when we remember to start. If you've enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe. I post videos like this covering all the recent events in Africa and in Kenya. Thanks for watching.